Well, North Carolina might get stuck in the ACC. And if they are, right now, it looks like that would be because of their Board of Governors and a new policy that has been pushed forward. Welcome into the channel. I am John Kurtz. Here on this channel, we talk college football, conference realignment, college basketball, all from a Big 12 angle. Please consider subscribing if you have not. Live shows Wednesday and Sunday nights. They are a blast. Lots of people, great college sports fans in there, and it is a really good time. So make sure that you subscribe, click the bell so you get alerts and know when it is that I am going live. If you could like the video, I would appreciate that. Also, leave a comment in the comment section. Are you with me on this? Do you think it doesn't matter and North Carolina will still leave the ACC anyway? Tell me about it in the comments. And it's John-Kurtz-4 on Venmo if you'd like to support the channel that way. Feels like this story's flown under the radar a little bit, but it feels to me like a little bit more than just the typical posturing that you would see from a local board when it comes to conference realignment and trying to keep schools together, not allowing one to leave the other, et cetera, et cetera. This time it centers around North Carolina and NC State. So I'm going to read you a story from WRAL, which has done a really good job, that outlet of reporting on this. Started 5 days ago when this proposal was first put out there. It was not yet pushed forward. It was just put out there 5 days ago. And WRAL said North Carolina or NC State won't be able to leave the ACC without approval from the UNC system president and its board of governors under a new proposal to be considered by the board next week. The policy change would allow either the president or the board of governors to stop a conference change. It comes at a time when Florida State is challenging the conference in court, and the two biggest brands in college athletics are concentrated in two major conferences, the SEC and the Big Ten. Biggest brands, not the two biggest brands. The biggest brands in college athletics are concentrating in two major conferences, SEC and Big Ten. An initial draft of the policy change was first considered in October, and that one only gave the president, quote, the opportunity to weigh in. The current version gives the president and board explicit power to move forward or thwart a move. Whoo, boy. Okay. So what has happened here is since October, this board in North Carolina has gotten serious. They initially proposed something that would say, hey, the president should get the opportunity to weigh in if somebody is going to try and leave the conference. Now it's the president and the board will get veto power. They can shut down a move out of the conference for North Carolina, NC State, whoever it might be. And that is pretty strong. Now, it was just a proposal 5 days ago. As of now, it has taken a step forward. Here is the story from today from WRAL. Any UNC system school, and that includes UNC Chapel Hill and NC State, that wants to change athletic conferences will have to get approval from the system president and the board under a policy change approved by a board committee on Wednesday. So this is a board committee that has now approved this. The change must be approved by the full 24-member board of governors before it goes into effect. So it's not in effect yet, but it has at least been approved by a board committee. The University Governments Committee approved the move Wednesday. So it has taken a step forward. Again, that is the important distinction here. Not yet voted on by the board, but it certainly seems to be moving that way. And everything that has happened from where it went from October to now is just pushing in that direction. The article stresses that UNC and NC State are both charter members of the ACC, founded in 1953 in Greensboro. The league is now headquartered in Charlotte and hosts many of its championship events in North Carolina, including its annual football championship game. State lawmakers approved $15 million in incentives for the league in an effort to keep its headquarters in the state. They did try to reach out, WRAL, to the athletic directors at North Carolina and NC State. They declined comment on the proposal earlier in the week. Each chancellor both has denied the opportunity to speak on this as well. I would be very curious, with some truth serum at least, to hear what North Carolina and North Carolina State's leadership thinks about this. This seemingly on the surface would appear to be a better thing for NC State to try and keep everybody together, not allow North Carolina to leave without them. We know that North Carolina is, outside of Notre Dame, arguably the most enticing realignment piece that's still left out there on the board for both the SEC and the Big Ten. Would be highly coveted by both. Big-time athletics, big athletics brand, huge state, huge population base. It's a place that both leagues would love to get into. NC State, not going to be as highly coveted there. So that would be the obvious read into this. And there certainly has been talk that there is more NC State influence on this board than North Carolina. And this could be a political sort of move there to keep the two together, to not let North Carolina leave without NC State. I do not have sources or anything on that, but that is certainly the chatter out there. And if you check out guys like Greg Flugar on Peek Around the Corner, that's a great place to go. Another channel to check out here for some more info on that. I know he has been talking about this for a little while now. As far as the process goes, how this would work if you were going to try and leave the conference, under the proposed changes to the intercollegiate athletic system of the UNC system's policy manual, chancellors must give the UNC system president advance notice prior to executing any agreement which would result in the constituent institution's transfer, removal, or joining of an athletic conference. The notice to the president shall include, for the president's approval or disapproval, a financial plan related to the proposed action. So what that is saying is, not only are you going to have to give advance notice to the UNC system president, you also have to present a financial plan that could either be approved or disapproved by the board and the president. If the president approves the financial plan, the board would then get a chance to weigh in and could vote no, stopping any conference affiliation change. If the Board of Governors votes down the financial plan, the chancellor may not proceed with the proposed action unless the chancellor presents a new financial plan for the president's approval or disapproval. So if that first financial plan gets shot down, board doesn't like it, you got to bring something else to the table. Basically, you need to justify here what the finances are going to be and justify the move. Interesting part of this, it notes that financial plan is meant as a broad term. The UNC system's general counsel said on Wednesday, quote, "It would be as encompassing related to the funding of the change as the board might deem to exercise in its discretion," said Andrew Tripp, a senior vice president and general counsel for the system. So making it as broad as possible there in the board's eyes gives them a lot of latitude based on what they would like or not like about it. Again, it notes previous version gave the board and president more oversight, but not veto power. It says the Board of Governors has 24 members appointed by the NC House and Senate to staggered 4-year terms. Both chambers have been controlled by Republicans since 2011. The Republican leaders of each chambers told WRAL in August that UNC and NC State should remain conference foes. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure most of them generally would probably like to see that, but if you are a hardcore North Carolina grad, you may well want to be off into a different conference. The interesting part to me about this is that so often we see posturing like this from local boards or politicians saying, hey, the board would never let these two schools break apart. But yet it never seems to come to fruition that way when rubber meets the road, right? Oklahoma State are splitting up. Washington State are splitting up. Oregon State are splitting up. It has happened many times now in the world of conference realignment that somebody is leaving somebody else. It always feels like these aren't serious threats, but this does to me feel a little bit different with some actual legislation being pushed forward here that could put a stop to things. And if there truly is a lot of NC State influence on this board, maybe this is something that will have a legitimate impact. I still would have my doubts when push comes to shove, but we will find out. The bottom line is for these boards, if there are two power conferences and you're looking out for the best interest of the state, it is hard to argue against, hey, we can either have 0 out of our 2 main schools in these power conferences, or we could have 1, at least in the power conference, and give those opportunities still to people in the state. The exposure, the better enrollment that can come with athletic success, the obvious financial benefits of doing it, all of those things, right? And that to me is why it is tough. It's a tough sell, I think, to just say, hey, we're going to stop everybody from leaving here when it all comes down to it. But we'll see. We'll keep paying attention to it, keep you updated here on the channel, whether it's a live show or more standalone content like this. Appreciate you coming along. Please make sure to like the video, leave a comment. Do you think this is a serious threat? Do you still expect North Carolina to leave the ACC, and will the conference survive? Let me know in the comments what you think. Like the video. It's John-Kurtz-4 on Venmo if you want to support there, and I will talk to you all soon.